And her baby. That small pod wasn't meant for safety. It was a cage. Jonas walked back to the hidden room with heavy steps. He carried a small device in his hands, a scanner. It could read energy signals and memory chips from broken tech. He had fixed it years ago, just in case he needed to recover old ship data. He wanted to scan the baby's pod. Sierra was already awake when he arrived. She sat quietly beside the shattered pod, her large body still and her wings folded. Her eyes followed Jonas as he entered the room. "Hey, Sierra," he said gently. She gave a soft blink. "I'm going to check this pod. Maybe it still holds something. A message, a voice, anything that belonged to your child." He moved slowly and sat beside the pod. It was cracked and burned, but part of the control panel was still there. The scanner beeped softly as Jonas ran. It over the panel. Nothing at first. Then a soft green light blinked. "Memory chip, still here," he whispered. Sierra leaned closer. Jonas connected the scanner to his datapad. After a few seconds, a file appeared. It was short, only 10 seconds. Long. He opened it. At first, there was only static. Then, a small sound. A heartbeat, soft, steady, like a small drum. Then another sound, a short giggle. It didn't sound human. It was lighter, almost musical, like a baby singing. Sierra made a deep sound in her throat. Jonas looked up. Tears were falling from her eyes again, but her mouth was open in wonder. The sound of her child, even just a few seconds, brought her back to life. She leaned down and gently touched the pod with her nose. Jonas swallowed hard. "That's your baby's voice, isn't it?" Sierra didn't speak, but she didn't need to. Her whole body trembled with emotion. She wrapped one of her wings around the pod, not like a cage, like a blanket. Jonas saved the file and made a backup. "I'll clean it up. I'll make it louder, clearer. I'll find a way to play it every night. You won't have to cry in silence anymore." Sierra looked at him. This time, she moved closer, her head lowered near his chest. Jonas held his breath. Slowly, carefully, she pressed her forehead against his. It lasted only a moment, but that moment changed everything. Jonas wasn't just a visitor now. He was part of her story. He stood up and walked to the door. "I'll be back soon. I have work to do." Sierra made a soft sound. Not a cry this time, but something like a hum. A thank you. Jonas left the room and headed straight for the ship's lab. Most of the machines were broken or old, but he had hope. If he could rebuild part of the pod, maybe he could restore more memories. A video, a sound, a full message, something Sarah could keep forever. As he walked through the empty halls of LRS-1, he felt something strange in his chest. For the first time in years, he felt a reason to care. Jonas worked harder than ever before. Every day, he spent hours in the old ship lab, fixing wires, searching for parts, and scanning broken tech. Most of the machines were rusted and dead, but he didn't give up. He was a mechanic, and this time, the repair was not for a ship, it was for a broken heart. For Sierra, he wanted to rebuild the memory pod. Even if the baby was gone, the memories were still there, lost in metal, hidden in silence. If he could bring them back, Sarah might feel a little less empty. The old computer system in the lab had many errors. It blinked red often and made strange clicking sounds. But Jonas talked to it like an old friend. "Come on, don't quit on me now," he said, tapping the side of the screen. "We've got work to do." Piece by piece, he fixed the memory chip. He cleaned the dust, replaced old circuits, and found a new power cell from the backup unit. Slowly, the small screen on the pod started glowing again. Soft blue light. That was a good sign. After 3 long days, the memory system was ready. Jonas carried it carefully down to the hidden room, where Sarah waited in silence. She was lying near the pod, her eyes half closed, but when Jonas entered, she sat up quickly. She looked at the box in his hands with curious eyes. "I brought something," he said gently. "I don't know what's inside. It could be just a small clip, or maybe more, but it's something." Sarah moved closer. Jonas placed the device beside the pod. He connected the wires, checked the power, and pressed the button. The room filled with soft light. A hologram blinked in the air. Small and bright at first, it showed only stars. Then, the image of a small dragon baby appeared, floating in zero gravity, spinning slowly, playful and happy. Sarah gasped. A sound came from deep in her chest. Not pain this time, but surprise. Her eyes opened wide, shining with light. Then the sound came, not just a giggle, a voice. It was soft and sweet, high-pitched and echoing like wind chimes. The baby was saying something, a short word in a language Jonas didn't know. But it was clear, it was calling for its mother. Sarah lowered her head, watching the hologram. Her body didn't move, but tears rolled from her glowing eyes. Her wings trembled slightly. The image kept playing, just a short moment, but it played in a loop, again and again. Her baby's voice filled the room. Jonas stepped back. He didn't want to interrupt. He just watched. For a few minutes, nothing else existed, just a mother, her memories, and the voice of the child she had lost. When the loop paused for a moment, Sarah turned her head toward Jonas. Slowly, she reached out one of her large wings and lightly touched his arm. Jonas froze. Then he smiled. "I'm glad I could bring this back," he whispered. Sarah made a low, deep sound, a warm hum. It was the first sound she had made that didn't feel sad. It felt thankful. That night, Jonas stayed longer than usual. He sat beside the memory pod, eating a small meal and watching the stars through the small window in the ceiling. Sarah lay beside him, her eyes still fixed on the hologram. The ship didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like home. Jonas didn't know what would happen next. But he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't alone, and neither was Sarah. Jonas was sleeping on the floor of the hidden room. The soft glow of the baby dragon's hologram still floated in the air. Sarah rested beside it, her large wings folded, her tail curled gently, for the first time in weeks. She looked peaceful, but peace never lasted long on Elaru 7. A sharp sound made Jonas open his eyes, a beep. Not from the pod, not from his scanner. It was from his comm device. He sat up and checked the small screen on his wrist. A new signal had appeared, a live signal. It was weak, hidden deep in the system, but it was there. Someone, or something, had connected to the ship. Jonas stood quickly. His heart began to race. That's impossible. This ship was shut down. No one's supposed to be out here. Sarah raised her head slowly. She could feel his fear. "I don't know who it is," Jonas said softly, "but I need to check it." He left the hidden room and rushed to the control station. Dust covered everything. The screens were old, but one of them now blinked green. Incoming access request. Jonas clicked it open. A coded message filled the screen. Most of it was in broken characters, but one word stood out. Emberclaw. His stomach dropped. Whoever sent the signal knew about the project. That meant they knew about Sira, and if they knew about her, they were probably coming back for her. He ran back to the hidden room. Sira, he said, out of breath. They know. Someone out there knows you're still alive. She stood up. Slowly, tall and proud now. Her wings spread a little. The soft light from the pod reflected off her silver-black scales. Jonas placed a hand on her leg. We need to move you. If they come here, they won't care about your pain. They'll trap you again, or worse. Sira's eyes narrowed. She understood more than he thought. Jonas pulled out a map of the ship. There's an old cargo bay. It's deep, full of metal containers and walls that block scanners. If I can power it up, they won't be able to find you. Sira gave a short nod. Together, they moved. Jonas led her through dark halls and broken doors. The ship groaned as if waking up after a long sleep. Lights flickered above them. A few fell completely, crashing to the floor. They reached the cargo bay. Jonas opened the gate. Inside was cold, but safe. The walls were thick. The signal would be hidden here. He started setting up wires to give it light and heat. Sarah curled into a large metal corner. She watched him quietly, her body tense. We don't have much time, Jonas said. If they land, I'll keep them busy. You stay here. You're not a weapon to them anymore. You're a mother. That matters more. Sira lowered her head. This time, not in sadness, in respect. Jonas looked at her, then at the baby's memory pod he had carried with them. He placed it gently near her. If anything happens to me, don't wait. Fly, break the ship if you have to. Just don't. Let them take you. Sira made a sound, deep and sharp, like a promise. Jonas turned to leave the cargo bay. Outside, the ship's alarms blinked once, red lights flashing. A ship was landing. The red lights flashed across the old ship's halls. The landing alarm echoed through empty metal walls. Jonas stood in the control room, watching the outside camera screen. A black ship had landed near the docking bay. Sleek, silent, and dangerous. They were here, whoever they were, scientists, hunters, or soldiers. They came for one reason. Jonas took a deep breath. He picked up a pulse blaster from the weapons locker. It was old, but it worked. He had fixed it months ago, just in case. Now just in case had arrived. He looked once at the screen again. 4 figures stepped out of the black ship. All wore dark suits with glowing masks. They moved fast, scanning everything. Jonas left the control room and started locking every hallway. Behind him, he needed to slow them down. He didn't care what they wanted. He only cared about giving Sira time to escape. Meanwhile, deep in the cargo bay, Sira waited silently. She could feel the danger. She pressed her large body against the wall and lowered her head beside the baby pod. The hologram was off now, quiet, but her child's voice still echoed in her heart. Then she heard its footsteps. Jonas returned, breathing hard. His face was dirty with sweat and dust. They're inside, he said quickly, maybe 5 minutes away. He looked up at her. I'm not going to let them take you. He handed her a small device. This is a remote for the escape hatch. It's old, but I rewired it. When you press this, the bay door will open from below. You can fly straight out. Sarah stared at the device in her clawed hand. Jonas smiled. You were never meant to stay trapped. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the floor. Dust fell from the ceiling. the sound of shouting filled the hallway outside. They were close. "I'll hold them back," Jonas said. Sarah stood tall. Her wings stretched wide. Her eyes burned with fire. Jonas turned to leave, but before he could go, Sarah reached out and gently touched his shoulder with the tip of her wing. A silent thank you. Then Jonas ran. Down the hall, he set traps. He fired warning shots to scare the intruders, he shouted, drawing their attention. Looking for the dragon, he yelled. "She's gone." They chased him through the ship, room by room. But back in the cargo bay, Sarah looked at the baby pod one last time. She let out a soft cry, not of sadness, but of goodbye. Then she pressed the button. The escape hatch opened below her with a loud hiss. Cold air rushed in. Stars filled the view. With one strong leap, Sarah jumped into the open sky. Her wings snapped wide. She soared into the darkness, silent and strong. For the first time in years, she was free. Jonas, cornered in a hallway, heard the hatch open. He smiled. Then he dropped his blaster. The soldiers surrounded him. One of them spoke through a voice mask. "Where is the creature?" Jonas laughed softly. "Gone. You helped her escape." "She's not a creature," Jonas said. "She's a mother, and you'll never find her again." The soldier raised a stun rod. The world went dark. Hours later, Jonas opened his eyes in a small holding cell. But he wasn't afraid. He had done what he came for. Far above the planet, in open space, Sarah flew between the stars. The memory pod rested against her chest, glowing softly. Her child's voice still whispered. She wasn't alone anymore, and neither was Jonas, because sometimes, even in the coldest parts of space, a broken mechanic and a sad dragon can save each other. The spaceship LRE-7 was big, old, and mostly empty. It floated slowly through space, far away from Earth or any planet. The ship was quiet during the day, but at night, something strange happened. Every night, at the same time, a sound echoed through the metal walls. It was not a machine noise. It was not a voice from the radio. It sounded like a baby crying. But this was not a normal baby cry. It was louder, deeper, sadder. It made the air feel heavy. Some people said it felt like the ship was crying. Others thought it was haunted. Some believed it was just a broken system making weird sounds. The crew tried to find out where the sound was coming from. They checked all the rooms, wires, and machines. Everything looked fine. No one could explain the sound. After a few weeks, most of the crew left. They said it was too creepy, too emotional, too strange. They took escape pods and flew to the nearest station. They didn't want to spend another night with that crying sound. Only one man stayed behind Jonas, the ship's mechanic. Jonas was not young. His hair was going grey. He had grease on his hands every day. He fixed engines, wires, lights, and broken screens. He wasn't scared of machines, and he wasn't scared of strange sounds, either. He believed that everything had a reason, even a cry in the dark. Jonas sat alone in the control room. He drank his coffee and listened. The cry came again, low, deep, like something hurt, something lost. He closed his eyes and tried to feel the sound. It wasn't angry. It wasn't dangerous. It was lonely. He wrote down the time, 2:13 a.m., just like every night. Same minute, same tone, like someone following a schedule. This is not a machine error, he said to himself. Over the next few nights, Jonah started moving around the ship during the cry. He wanted to find the exact place it was coming from. He used his tools to test the air, the walls, the heat. He walked slowly, his boots clicking on the metal floor. Sometimes the lights blinked. Sometimes the cry made him stop walking. It pulled on his heart. The ship was large, with many halls and old rooms. Some doors had not been opened in years. Jonas checked them all. He kept going deeper, down into the cold lower levels of the ship, where the lights were dim and the air was still. One night, he reached a hallway he had never seen before. The door at the end was locked and covered in dust. It had warning signs on it. Private, do not enter. But Jonas didn't stop. He was the only one left. Who would stop him? He used his tool to break the lock. The door opened slowly with a loud creak. The cry was louder now, much louder. He stepped inside. The room was large and dark. It smelled like old metal and something else, something alive. Jonas turned on his small flashlight. The light shook in his hand as he looked around. Then he saw it. In the corner of the room, behind wires and broken machines, something moved, something big, something breathing. Two glowing eyes stared at him, and the crying didn't stop. It was not a baby, it was a dragon, but not like the dragons from stories. This one looked alien, and it was sad. Very, very sad. Jonas stood still. The air in the room was cold and heavy. His flashlight shook in his hand. The two glowing eyes didn't move. They just stared at him from the shadows. The cry had stopped. Now the silence was even louder. Jonas took a slow step forward. His boots made a soft sound on the metal floor. He could hear his own heartbeat. The room was large, filled with broken machines, boxes, and strange cables. The walls were dark, and the ceiling was high. It looked like a storage area, but it wasn't on any map. Then something moved again in the shadows. A large shape, wings folded tightly, a tail curled around its body. Long, sharp claws tapped lightly on the ground. The creature was resting, but not asleep. Jonas took another step. He raised his hand slowly, showing he had no weapon. "It's okay," he said in a calm voice. "I won't hurt you." The creature's eyes blinked. Its head turned a little. Jonas could now see more of it. Black and silver scales, smooth but damaged. Some parts of its body had metal plates. Not armor, they looked like implants. Its chest rose and fell slowly, as if it was tired, or maybe sick. It was not like any animal Jonas had ever seen. It was like a dragon from a dream, but changed, shaped by machines and pain. "Are you the one who's been crying?" Jonas whispered. The creature didn't speak, but it lowered its head. Its eyes looked sad. Deep, ancient sadness. Jonas sat down slowly on the cold floor. He didn't want to scare it. He didn't want to leave, either. "You're alone here, aren't you?" he said. The dragon didn't answer, but it didn't move away. It kept watching him, like it was trying to understand him. Like it was waiting for something, maybe someone to finally notice. Jonas looked around the room. In the corner, he saw a small glass pod. It was broken, wires hung loose, lights were dead. Inside the pod was ashes, burned, black dust. His breath caught. The pod wasn't for a weapon or tool. It was for life, for something small, for a child. He looked back at the dragon. Her eyes were wet now. A low sound came from her throat, not a growl, not a roar, a sob. She had lost something, someone, her baby. Jonas felt a lump in his throat. He didn't know this creature. He didn't know her language, but he knew grief. He had seen it in people. He had felt it too, years ago, when he lost his own brother in a fire back on Earth. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. The dragon lowered her head to the floor. She closed her eyes. She wasn't a monster. She wasn't dangerous. She was a mother, alone, broken, and left behind. Jonas stayed there for a long time. He didn't say much. He just sat with her, let her feel his presence. The ship creaked around them, but the dragon didn't cry that night. Not the same way. It was softer now. Less lost, a little less alone. Jonas knew he couldn't leave her like this. He didn't know what he could do yet, but he had to try. He had fixed engines, wires, and machines his whole life. Now maybe, just maybe, he could try to fix a heart. For the next 3 nights, Jonas returned to the secret room. He brought a warm blanket, a small lamp, and some tools with him. Not to fix anything yet, just to feel useful. The dragon didn't speak, but she didn't push him away either. That was enough for now. She stayed in the corner, curled around the broken pod, her eyes always half open, always tired. Her body looked strong, but her spirit was weak, like a warrior after a long, painful war. Jonas gave her a name in his mind. Sira. He didn't know if she had a real name, or if she even understood names. But Sira felt right, soft, sad, gentle. "Sira," he said once, sitting cross-legged on the cold floor. "Is that okay?" The dragon lifted her head slightly. She blinked slowly. He smiled. "Okay then, Sarah, it is." Jonas had worked on ships for 20 years. He had never met an alien creature like her. He didn't know her language. But pain was universal. You didn't need words to feel it. Each night, Jonas cleaned the room a little. He moved the broken wires, swept the dust, and repaired small lights in the walls. He also brought soft sounds from Earth, old music on a tiny speaker, just soft piano tunes, nothing loud. At first, Sira flinched at the sounds, but soon she grew quiet and still, as if the music brought back something she had lost long ago. On the 4th night, something new happened. Sarah took a step toward him. It was slow, careful, but clear. Jonas sat very still. He didn't want to scare her. She lowered her head near him. Her large eye blinked as she looked closely at his face. Then, without a sound, she gently placed one clawed finger on the floor near his boot. Not touching him, just near Dot. It was a hello, a small, silent hello. Jonas felt a strange warmth in his chest. He didn't move. He just said, softly, "Hi, Sarah." He didn't sleep that night. He stayed with her while she lay next to the broken pod, making soft breathing sounds, almost like sighs. The ship groaned above them. But that room, that forgotten place, was quiet, warm, alive. The next morning, Jonas searched the ship's old data files. He found a hidden folder with a strange code name, Project Emberclaw. He opened it. Inside were video logs and reports, some in human language, others in alien code. But one thing was clear. Sarah was not found by chance. She was captured. Years ago, scientists had used her for tests. They had placed her child in that small pod, kept both under control with implants and wires. But something had gone wrong during a test. The child's pod failed during a hyperjump. The logs showed the team panicked. Some escaped, others died, and Sarah. They left her behind, trapped, forgotten. No one came back. Jonas stared at the screen for a long time. His hands were shaking. She wasn't crying for help, he said out loud. She was crying for her baby. That night, when he went back to her, he didn't bring tools or music. He just sat beside her and said, "I know now. I know why you're crying." Sierra didn't move, but she looked at him, really looked, and in her eyes, he saw something new. Not just sadness, but trust, a small light, like the first star in a dark sky. The next morning, Jonas didn't go to the engine room like he usually did. He didn't fix any broken wires or check fuel levels. His mind was somewhere else with Sarah. He kept thinking about the video logs he had found. The secret folder, Project Emberclaw, showed everything. Sarah wasn't just an alien. She was a test subject, a prisoner, a mother who had been used and forgotten.